Hello, once again, imaginary audience.
Welcome back from those mighty fine commercials.
It just seems like they keep getting better and better as the show goes on. Just inexplicable.
Oh yeah, those are some mighty fine commercials from our imaginary sponsors.
So what were we doing? I've already forgotten.
You had just made an attempt to lasso another sheep.
Ah, that's right. We left
Sheep
it on a
14, I do remember.
Yes, sheep 14. All right, let's see how I do. How do I do? How do I do
right.
sheep?
You stand back behind the fence, and you fling the rope overhead, and you land a perfect shot on sheep 14. You pull the rope tight, and you quickly drop the sheep. You've lassoed him all the way around all four legs.
Okay. So success.
This was a great success.
I
The
give
boy
kind of a
seems to be
whispered
surprised.
yay and raise my arm in the air.
Now go up and try to tie the sheep the rest of the way.
I try.
Loop it around
I do
his
that.
back.
I do that.
Okay. You hop the fence, barreling over the sheep to sheep 14.
Mhm.
You tie it, you loop it around his back a few times and around his legs, and you tie him quickly up. But in doing so, you do clip your hand into the rope a little bit, and you get a minor rope burn. But you did it so quickly that it was bound to happen, and it's a great success.
Oh boy, you good job.
The kid starts clapping for you.
I put both of my arms in the air, and I give a mighty roar of victory. Exactly like that.
The boy enters the fence and starts untying your sheep.
Well, that was mighty fine for your second attempt.
Let's see. I glare at him, but then I decide to forgive him, and then I give him a handshake, even though he has his arms full of sheep rope.
You go to shake his hand, but your hands are so massive that you basically grab his entire forearm.
Okay.
He puts his other hand on his head, and you shake. You move your arm up and down, and you're basically flinging him in the air a little bit.
It's like, oh,
You clearly scared the little kid.
See, I kind of realized that this was sort of a bad idea, and I kind of give him a very, very light tap.
No,
on the
I'm
back.
playing the text adventure. Yes. Go play, Samuel. Go.
Bad time to
Sorry
interrupt.
about that. I guess I'm probably being pretty loud.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of realized this was sort of a bad idea, so I just sort of lightly tap him on the back. Do I have to roll to not, knock him over?
You go to lightly tap him on his back, but you tap him a little harder than you mean to.
Yeah.
He loses his balance a little bit, but he quickly recomposes himself. He's dropped the rope, and it started to get all tangled up, and now he's straightening the rope and putting it back into a coil. You hear his father chuckle from outside the pen.
Alright, I guess I kind of help him untie it a little bit, because I feel a little bit bad for shaking his entire body.
You help him pick up the rope. You pick up the sheep, and you quickly untie his legs.
Yeah.
With one hand, you have it around the sheep, and you just quickly loop it around the sheep's legs and untie it and set the sheep back down.
Yeah.
The sheep doesn't seem so happy about this, but
I give the sheep a slap on the ass as he's walking away.
you slap the sheep's ass, and he falls a little bit to his face and quickly gets up and trots off.
Okay. So how much time have I spent sheep wrangling now?
Probably quite a while. You see that the majority of the stalls have set up. There's still a few people bringing in things, and a bunch of other Arden kids have started to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
You see your teacher.
I see my teacher. Okay, so
Yeah.
Describe my teacher for me.
Well, she's an Arthen lass, but she's fairly short compared to most Arthens. She comes to about chest height. She's got black hair. She's wearing a black and gray dress. It's a long dress. She's got a bag around her shoulder, and she's holding a book in front of her. You recognize it as the book she frequently carried in class. It's got all the students' names and attendance records and things in it.
So basically, kind of, let's see, a school note. Well, it's not really a school notebook as you would think of it, but like I guess
It's like a teacher's
log.
note.
It's like a teacher's log.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do I know her name?
Yes, Miss Copperpot.
Miss Copperpot or Miss Copperbottom?
Copperpot.
Okay. Miss.
I was gonna call her Copperbottom, but I think that was a thing from a movie. So Miss Copperpot.
Okay, Miss Copperpot. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. I give her kind of a. I guess it would be like a reserved wave, like kind of. I guess kind of a conservative wave, and then I kind of slowly walk up to her.
She waves back, and you see some of the other students are standing around her. They're just kind of talking amongst themselves while she's writing something in the book.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Let's see. I guess I asked. Let's see. Are these kind of younger kids, or are they about my age?
Some of them are a little younger. It's her current class. You're already graduated.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I guess I asked her what the kids seem to be into as far as the job fair, or if they actually find it interesting at all.
Well, the captain's guard is always a very nice booth. The kids are always excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
But of course they would be. It's nice. It's old swords play, so
Let's see. At the mention of swords play, my eyebrows raise.
You quickly look over to stall 13, and you see some kids playing with wooden swords and holding up big metal shields.
Mm-hmm.
The younger kids get wooden swords, but they've got a bunch of large metal swords and broadswords. There's a large Arthen man in front, decked out in full heavy chainmail, with shoulder pads of a decadent metal, and he's got a helmet on. Looks like a very large warrior of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And next to him, you see another man clad in black and leather.
All right, so let's see. I don't really get eye contact back with Miss Copperpot, but I say, "I'll talk to you later, Miss Copperpot."
yes, have a nice day.
I immediately kind of walk over to let's see. I guess get some equipment, and I want to challenge the big guy in chainmail to a duel. Who is like
You
much
walk
bigger
up
than
to
me.
the chainmail dude, and you realize that this is probably a bad idea because he's quite large. He's about the same size as your father.
Do I fear for my life?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
So, do you still want to go through with this inquiry,
All right.
or do you want him to, or do you want to like ask him if you can try some swords?
Let's see. I decided that I'm going to work my way up to him, and I'm going to start with with weaker opponents and just kind of work my way up over maybe the next hour.
You look over and you see one of your classmates in your class.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from your class. You're both graduated, and he's holding up a big metal shield and a dull sword. It's almost like a pole. It's just a fencing. It's like a practice sword.
Okay.
And he's standing next to the guy in black who's holding a clipboard. And there's a big barrel of the practice swords next to him.
All right. I guess I grab one. Let's see. Is he like a close friend of mine, or is he just kind of like just somebody I know is in my class?
He was just kind of somebody you know.
Okay.
You didn't talk to very many people.
Do I even
other
know
than
his name?
No.
I do not. Okay. Let's see here.
His name escapes you. You've never been very good with names.
Let's see here. Let's see. I go over to let's see. Pick up a sword, like a practice sword and shield.
Hold on there, lad. You gotta sign up first.
I kind of do a big jump in surprise as I kind of turn to whoever just said that.
The guy in black looks down at you and he holds the clipboard and says, "For liability reasons, we've got to get you to sign your name on this form." And you just see a whole whack of other Arthen kids have scrolled their names across it. And on the top it says, "I hereby acknowledge that this is a dangerous activity."
Okay, I signed my name in, let's see, beautiful fancy writing that probably takes maybe a good 10 seconds to do.
Okay. You pick up the pen and with your tongue stuck out slightly, you start scrawling your name in the prettiest flourished writing you can muster. And the guy kind of just sighs at this because it takes you a little while.
Yeah.
He's like, "That'll do."
He throws a shield at you.
Okay, so I probably didn't even get a good chance to, let's see, admire my own work.
No, he kind of pulls it away as you're making your last little flourish. And your pen drags along the paper.
Okay, so let's see here. I guess I try and catch what he's just thrown at me, like a sword and shield, was it?
It's a shield.
It's a shield. Okay, I snatched it out of the air.
Okay. You reach out, you fumble for the shield a little bit, but you manage to catch it. In the same motion, he grabs a sword and a helmet, and he puts the helmet on your head and hands you the sword. And it's just a dull practice sword like the other kid has. He says, "Have at it."
I give a shit-eating grin, and then I point at the let's see, my classmate, and I say, "I challenge you to a duel."
He laughs slightly and raises his shield and points the sword back to you. And on the ground you see a yellow marked out rectangle in between booth 14 and 13.
Okay, let's see here.
You have to, he says,
You have to enter the rectangle first.
I give, let's see, I kind of, let's see, point my head upward and I give like a sigh that's obviously showing my impatience. So I do kind of walk over to where he told me to walk over to.
You go into the yellow rectangle, and in it you see a few hay bales, and then there's like a dummy of sorts made just by a simple, almost a scarecrow, just stuffed with straw. And a big red target painted in the front and a cheap copper helmet on top.
Okay.
So you stand in one end of the tiny rectangle, and your opponent stands in the other.
Alright, so what does my opponent look like?
Well, he's a bit shorter than you. He's a little lanky. You recognize him as another mixed breed.
Okay, so he's shorter than me, but he's also kind of, he's basically, let's see, his scale is lower than me, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's, yeah, okay.
Well, he's also quite pale. His hair is a bit ginger.
He obviously lacks a soul of some sort.
Nice.
I'm sure he has a very fine soul indeed.
So do you lunge? Do you bash? What kind of attack do you want to do?
I would like to. I bait him. So I kind of hold my let's see, my arms outstretched, and I say, "Come at me."
Okay. Okay, well, he charges at you with his sword, quickly tripping over something on the ground and falling on his face.
I immediately run over to him to strike at his back.
The larger man in chainmail quickly yells over at you and says,
That's not very sportsman of you."
The kid kind of grunts a little bit at the blow you put to his
He
back.
doesn't like trying to avoid the blow. He's just kind of falling on his face.
Well, he's still there, and as he hits the ground, you kind of step forwards and land a blow in his back.
Okay.
You do hold back a little bit because you do recognize this as not a real.
Yeah, I'm mostly just kind of tapping him for points, basically.
So, he gets up and kind of braces his shield again.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's his turn to make an attack again.
Okay.
Well, he goes to swing at you, but the shield is a bit heavy for him. He's not a very strong kid. And he loses balance a little bit, and you attempt to block.
Okay, so all right, so explain it to me again. He's gone to swing his sword.
He's
Yeah.
swinging his sword, but the shield's a bit heavy, so you see that he kind of starts losing his balance, and his attack is kind of slowed.
Okay. I guess I try and hit the sword out of his hands with my sword.
Okay. Well, you swing at his sword, and you make contact with it, and you just kind of deflect the attack, but he still holds the sword firmly.
Okay. So is it my turn or his turn at this point?
It's his turn again.
Okay.
Well, no, that was a defense. It's your turn to actually make an attack.
Okay. Let's see here. I just kind of like try and run over to his back and try. Let's see. Let's see here. Hit the back of his hand. I don't
So
really
you're-
even know what I'm doing actually.
Are you circling around him?
I'm circling around him. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
trying to get behind him. So I guess his defense would be trying to turn fast enough.
Okay, well, surprisingly graceful, you move around him, and you
Mhm.
try to strike at his hand, but he does manage to move his hand, so you just hit his blade again, so he's deflected.
Okay.
So now it's his turn to attack you.
Mhm.
He raises up his shield in an attack,
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna
and
bash me.
kind of runs at you a little bit, like he's going to shield bash.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prepare yourself for this?
I would like to duck
Like
in the
brace
last
your
second.
stance, kind of go with the shield?
I want to duck in the last second to kind of get him to trip over my body.
Okay. Well, you duck, but he quickly realizes that you're trying to make a maneuver away from him. And he
Mhm.
kind of goes as an under attack and hits you across the buttocks.
Okay.
You
I have
hear the large man in chainmail chuckle at this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right. Okay, let's see.
You're
here.
kind of just on your hands and knees at this point.
I'm at on my hands and knees at this point. I would like to roll into his legs. Another attempt to trip him.
Okay. Well, you leave the shield behind in this attempt,
Okay.
and you kind of roll at him,
Mm-hmm.
aiming for his legs. He seems kind of surprised at this, but you do kind of roll into him, and he stumbles back a little bit, and he does fall onto his butt, but you didn't quite trip him in the way you intended.
He's more surprised than.
He's more surprised. He drops his shield in this attack.
Okay.
So now it's his turn to attack you again.
Okay.
He attempts to get onto his feet again, but he kind of trips over some hay on the floor, some loose dirt and some hay,
Mhm.
and drops his sword too.
Okay.
He's not the most graceful of people.
Let's see here. I recognize that this is that I basically won the duel, and I point my dull sword at his throat.
Okay, well, he's not so happy at this. He kind of looks at you mad and be like, I give up. And he hands the sword and shield back to the man.
Okay.
He kind of looks at you and says, you don't... The heavyset man is,
You don't really fight with honor. You have a lot to learn if you want to be a guard.
Let's see here. I guess I ask him to elaborate on this.
Well, you kind of fight dirty and you don't have real form.
Let's see here. I challenge him to a duel.
he just kind of looks at you and says,
I'm not allowed to fight the kids.
Let's see here. I look a little disappointed. Let's see here. I guess. All right. I guess
But- he gestures to the fighting mannequin.
Mhm.
And says,
I can teach you a little bit about some combat if you wish.
All right. Let's see. I humbly accept his offer.
He picks up a sword and shield and hands it back to you.
Mhm.
You still bear the helmet.
Yes.
And you start walking over to it, and he picks up a large wooden staff.
Mhm.
He kind of limps over to you, and at this point you do realize that he's got an injury on his left leg.
Hmm.
It's kind of splinted.
I guess I kind of before he starts telling me anything, I ask him. Let's see, was it due to honor that you got that on your leg there?
Nah, somebody snuck up behind me.
I see. All right, so what? Let's see. What is the what is your first lesson then?
He gestures to you to take a stance.
Take a stance in front of the mannequin.
Okay, I kind of let's see, stand with my legs rather apart and kind of closer to the ground. So it's like a half squat.
Okay. He taps your legs with the staff a little bit.
He's like, bring your left leg forward a little and your back. Your foot's crooked.
And taps your foot with it.
Okay, I let him correct me, so I kind of...
You correct your stance a little bit, and he's like,
Straighten your back, you're too hunched over.
I do
you
that.
kind of stand up a little bit straighter, and he says,
Hold your shield like you mean it.
Let's see here. I grit my teeth as I hold stronger to my shield.
you brace your shield a little bit more, and he taps your right arm holding the sword up a little bit, and he corrects your form a little bit, and he's like,
choke up on the handle a little bit.
You hold it a little closer to the hilt. And then he walks back to beside the mannequin, and he taps it on the shoulder.
Says, strike it as hard as you can right there.
Okay, let's see here. I try and use the tactic that one wielding an axe would use to chop a piece of firewood.
Okay, well, you lift the sword up and you just kind of do a hard bash, and the mannequin shakes a little bit and some straw falls out.
And he's like, not bad, not bad. You've got the power, but you've got to kind of angle the blade a little bit. If this was a real sword, it would have done damage, but he could have deflected.
Okay. So, let's see here. I guess I kind of make it... So, what I did was basically a vertical attack, right? It was kind of straight down.
He taps the side again. He taps the side underneath the cross that it represents his arms. And says, strike the side.
Okay, so I do as he says. It's probably... Because I guess I'm a little bit unconfident with this one because I'm not able to get the mechanical advantage that I'm usually used to with an axe.
Yeah.
But I try and follow his instructions.
Well, you kind of do a side swipe at it, and he's like,
very, very good. Good. I see that you're used to handling an axe.
Let's see,
we do have battle axes in the guard for those who are inclined to use them.
Let's see, but not today.
Nah, for the practice reasons, we can only have the swords.
I nod grimly. And I kind of practice my my strikes on the dummy.
He returns back to the front of the stall and starts talking to some other kids and hands them both helmets and swords. And you see that a lovely Arthen lass is stepping up to it, and you're kind of being ushered out of the rectangle now as well. She starts dueling with her friend.
Okay, let's see. I kind of stop to watch the duel.
Okay, well, the man kind of gestures at you to put back the shield and sword and stuff.
I do that.
And you start watching the duel, and the two girls at fight right now, they seem to be about your age, but they weren't in your class. You figure that they must be from a neighboring village. Because Arthens are coming in from all over the county to participate in this fair. It's a big deal. And you see that the two of them, one is kind of blonde and fairer skin, where the other is quite dark complexion, like yourself, and has black hair. And
the lighter-skinned one quickly gets an advantage in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them are quite formidable opponents. And you do watch for a little while, and you see some proper form, and the man in the heavy chainmail armor says that, you're both very good lasses at this.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to see you in training.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that
You better both be signing up, because you make a very good team.
you hear one of them chuckle a little bit and says, I'm leaning more towards botanism.
Mm-hmm.
The guy says,
It's a mighty shame.
so do you want to continue eavesdropping on their conversation, or do you want to continue on in your journey?
Okay, I think I am going to walk up to the man in chainmail, and I am... Let's see, so the person I challenged to a duel is somebody different, right?
No, the heavy-set man in the chainmail is who you challenge to a duel.
Okay, I try and, be as persuasive as possible, and I say, just one duel.
He says, I can't. It's against the rules.
Let's see here, I say, let's see, I hear that there is, a very nice, spot in the woods nearby.
Nah. If the community organizer found out, we'd quickly be banished from the festival next year.
Let's see, I mentioned that I'm his son.
Well, then that's doubly for no.
Let's see, I kind of, I frown at him, and I go to see my father.
Okay, you walk over to your father, who's talking with one of the other groups.
Okay.
It's the Abacus Repair. You see that they've brought out all of their things, and there's a very, very tall, pale man with almost blue skin.
Let's see, I'm the frown kind of drifts off my face, and I kind of just unabashedly just stare at the tall blue man because I've never seen somebody that was just blue.
Yeah, you stare up at him and you realize that he is very, very tall. He must stand at close to 12 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
He is massive, and he's wearing a white lab coat.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
the lab coat
untactfully
seems...
open my mouth to say, what are you?
Your father puts his hand onto your head and says, it's not polite to ask, son.
I kind of shake my head as though, like, let's see, I'm shaking loose some flies in my head or something.
Okay, he removes his hand, and the tall man just kind of chuckles at you and says,
well, I'm an angelic. My race of the South.
Races of the South, okay. So, I'm still kind of, I guess I'm just staring at him, like, not really knowing what to say. I'm just kind of, just kind of, I don't know, I guess, amazed, I guess? Or what would be the word?
I guess, astonished or
Astonished.
awestruck.
Awestruck, yeah, that's it.
Awestruck at his beauty.
Yeah. What color is his hair?
His hair is like a silver shimmery color. It's very light tinged, but it almost seems to reflect the light.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Okay, so he introduced himself as being an angelic, right?
Yeah.
I asked him if, let's see, all angelics look like that.
Your father again says, this isn't a polite manner to talk.
Let's see.
And your father quickly kind of hints at you that this man is quite important, and relations with his
I kind of pick up some tact, and I say, I'm sorry, my name is Theodore Poplar. What's your name?
He looks at you and he says,
You're...
well, most people just call me Al.
Nice to meet you, Al. Well, let's see, what was it you were talking about earlier? I'm sorry to interrupt.
We were just talking about bringing in some more technology for your little town.
Like what?
Well, as you're probably aware, not all of the houses are ran through electricity. Yours being one of the only that has a direct connection to the main.
Let's see.
Knowing
my character
that-
point has an idea of what electricity does, right?
Yeah, and you listen to the radio now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Because your house is one of the few that has a main radio in it. And you have a few set up in your trading house, and you recognize the logo on his lab coat to be corresponding to most of the electric products that your little shop can sell.
Let's see here. I guess I ask him if he's in charge of the technology booth.
Why, yes, are you interested in abacus repair and maintenance?
Let's see. I let him. I say yes.
Well, he gestures at the large model on it, on the booth. And he
Okay.
says,
This is a scaled-up model of the abacus.
and he kind of gestures at his own on his wrist while he does so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He
so-
goes around to the back of the booth and kneels down on a hay bale, a
Mhm.
square bale, to kind of get to almost eye level. But he's still, even kneeling, his eyes are still higher than yours.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
I assume you walk up to your side of the booth.
Does he gesture over there? Or is he kind of just
Yes,
expecting to?
he gestures towards the model.
Okay, I walk up to it and I kind of I just start examining it to see how things connect to each other, or if it just seems like if it's just like the outside of it and there's not much information to glean from it.
You start examining it and you see that it's a some form of artificial material you're unfamiliar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all sorts of lines along it in what appears to be a copper, and circular holes in it that are surrounded by more copper connecting. And it kind of has all these different lines and has some lights at the end, and a big square chip of some sort. You recognize it as a chip because you have been interested in this stuff before.
Okay, I ask him about
Sits in the center.
I ask him about the strange material that I don't recognize.
Oh, well, that's a new polymer. It's derived from a plant in my territory.
Let's see here. What color is this strange material?
It's kind of a green.
Let's see. I ask him if let's see, they ever thought about using it for jewelry.
Well, it's not very durable, and it's actually quite cheap to manufacture.
I nod, and then I kind of let's see. Ask him if he can tell me more about this abacus.
Well, he gestures at it and he says, "Why don't you give it a try? Take the pegs from that box." And you see a bunch of copper and other material put together in this box, and they all kind of have a circular shape, and they get narrower at the bottom, and you see that they would click into it. And he says,
Try to get the lights at the end to light up.
I
and
kind
you
of like,
see that there's two wires coming off of it to a little archaic generator at the base.
I kind of let's see, I look at the box for a second, and I ask, let's see, won't it electrocute me?
No, you don't have to worry about it. It's all properly grounded.
Let's see. I nod and I let's see. I guess start. All right. So I guess what did he say? It was like I can try inserting the pegs into
Yeah,
the
you-
holes.
There's several holes along dotting around the board, and you see that they kind of break up the copper line in between the lights and the generator.
Okay. I guess I start putting in the pegs, and I do kind of like wonder why this would be a separate piece. as I do it, but
Well,
I do. Put them in
as you're examining some of the pegs and putting them into the holes, he explains that
The little pegs that you're holding there are conductors. They're simply to illustrate the fact that to have a complete circuit, you need to have a line between the electricity, the object you're powering, and the ground.
Okay.
and you're putting the pegs into the holes, and you're kind of following the line from what he gestured to be the in,
Mhm.
filling them just with random pegs. And all of them have numbers on top. They vary from... They're all in the hundreds. They just seem to be kind of random numbers.
Yeah.
In this case, the pegs are quite irrelevant. But in most cases, they would be different capacitors and transistors.
Let's see. It occurs to me that I don't really know what an abacus is for, so I ask him. What do people use these things for?
Well, he lifts up his abacus and starts kind of turning it on and doing things on it. And you see that it lights up, and there's a two-layered virtual projection on top of it.
I
And he
kind
says,
of jump in
"Well-
surprise at this.
Well, they're state-of-the-art technology.
and he starts kind of interfacing with the bottom layer of the projection just by dragging his hands across it, and it all looks quite natural, like his motions.
hmm
And you see shapes light up on it, and there's writing and stuff, and he says,
Oh, it can be used for navigation, item management. It takes inventory of everything in your personhood. And it can store information. It's got a nearly limitless capacity for information. And it has a wide plethora of uses, even a flashlight.
I kind of do a hand gesture to indicate that I wanted to make it use the flashlight function.
he presses a button on it, and the virtual screens disappear, and you see that there's kind of a circular tube that comes out, and he shines the light down at the scaled model of an abacus.
Mm-hmm. So it's very like the ring of light is very visible in the direct sunlight. Is it?
Oh yeah, it's very, very bright. And he drags his hand, and you see that it gets even brighter, and then he moves his hand again and drags it across the abacus surface,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that it changes color from a white light to a bright purple.
Let's see. Wow. This is all my character says.
Yeah, if you signed up for abacus maintenance and repair, you'd get one just like this.
And he turns the flashlight back down, and he says,
Most of the jobs among my company, the company that I work for, you'd get one issued to you, and everyone on the new island has one issued.
I kind of nod stupidly, and I guess I say. I guess that my character doesn't know what to say. So.
and he gestures back to the scale model and says,
If you put one more peg in this hole, then you can get this light to light up.
I do so.
the light turns on as you insert the final peg. It kind of flickers to a start,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that it's a red light. It's just a standard light bulb.
Okay. So, I guess I ask him what this large-scale model is supposed to teach me.
Well, it just, for complete basics, it teaches you that the electrical current is carried through conductive materials, such as copper in this case, to complete a function. The black square in the middle is a processor chip.
And he points at the big black square,
Yeah.
and on it you see a big series of numbers and the letters X and Y.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gestures to the lights at the end.
And the processor chip simply takes the electrical current, transfers it to data, and outputs it to a certain line to turn on or complete a task.
So
In
you
this
could-
case, turn on the light.
So you could use this to turn on anything in your home, for example, if you can't get it upright.
Exactly. This would be for A practical example of this would be to wire your house with electricity.
And then turn off the lights when you need to leave.
Yep.
Let's see. I kind of look to my father and give him a look that says, "This is really cool."
Well, yes, son, we're getting these installed in our house fairly soon. We already have it ran to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember that there's a cord. It's an orange cord that runs across your living room floor to the radio.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
And you do know how to turn on the radio and use it. It's got a simple 3 dials in the front. You know how to tune it into different stations, and you listen to radio shows on a regular basis.
Yeah. Let's see here. Is this pretty much like the first lesson in electronics I've been given?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think that this is a good time for a commercial break. Cotton candy, the sweetest treat you'll never eat.
Why? I want to eat cotton candy.
No, Dad, you cannot.
No, Daddy, why?
Fuck off.
The co-optional? No, not. Hello again, imaginary audience. Did you enjoy those commercials? I sure did. What did you think of them, Wilson?
They were lovely. It was a lovely bunch of commercials.
I thought that last one, I don't know about that last one, really.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see once we actually get around to making them.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that last one. Golly gee.
Yeah.
That was one
Anyway, moving
humdinger.
on. So I was, let's see here, gawking at Blue Man.
Yes, you were
And-
gawking at the blue man.
So, gawking at the Blue Man, did I do anything? I had just finished showing me the abacus thing.
Yeah. And I think you were just about as concluded at that one.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't have much to say after that point. I think, so I guess maybe I take a look at my dad and take a look at my dad before leaving, just kind of seeing how he looks and kind of, if it seems like I've kind of fucked up his business deal that badly.
He doesn't seem too disturbed. Neither does the blue man. They've kind of went back to their conversation, and they've kind of went to the side of the booth a little.
Mm-hmm.
And you do notice that there's somebody else at the booth that you'd completely ignored. Another worker there, because each booth usually has about 2 to 3 people at it.
Mm-hmm.
She's an archaic. She's fairly tall for archaic, close to your height,
Mm-hmm.
which is very tall, I suppose. But she's talking to a group of kids about the abacus.
I eavesdrop.
It's pretty much all the same stuff you've already heard.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like, do they actually know the stuff, or is the idea that this the taller archaic is teaching the other children, or what's the idea?
She's kind of just teaching them about the abacus, going over uses and functionality, and showing them a map on the one that's on her wrist.
Okay. I guess
You do notice that that it's started to get quite crowded in here,
Mhm.
and that the parking lot that you can kind of see from here is filled with wagons and steam-powered trucks and all sorts of automobiles.
Mhm.
Numerous makes and models you haven't seen before.
Okay.
So
I guess
it's getting quite crowded here. You're glad that you went to the captain of the guards already, because
Mhm.
there's a big lineup now and a huge group of kids there.
Okay. All right. I guess. Moaning.
Oh, okay, moaning.
Anyway, I guess I head out of there, and I guess I look for some place that would actually. I'm trying to think.
Do you want to check your map?
Yeah, I'll check my map. Let's see. What let me. I guess I'll compare what's on my map to what's actually open right now.
Okay. Well, now everything is well and open and quite crowded, and you can hear a lot of yelling and like some rock smashing from well, you can't see it, but from the map picture, you assume that it would be the mining one.
Okay.
What number was it? 16. So it's on the other side of the guard station area. So you can't quite see it from here because of the huge crowd, but you hear a lot of commotion from that area, and that corner of the area looks very, very crowded from here.
Okay, I guess.
But you do notice that the other side, where the carpentry and the lumberjacking and stuff is all quite empty because everybody seems to be quite engulfed by the foreign work of the mining and smelting. So now might be a good time to go and check out some of the other ones.
Yeah, because it's a little bit busy at the moment.
And you do notice on the map that 25 is unlabeled. Why is 25 unlabeled? Probably because the god of this universe forgot to put something there, because I didn't really know.
I go to booth 25.
Okay, you go to booth 25 and see that it's mostly just storage. They've got a bunch of extra tools and stuff, and said the booth was closed due to lack of funds.
Do I see anybody around this booth, or do they seem kind of not really paying attention?
There's another Arthen man. He seems pretty unassuming, holding a clipboard, just kind of sitting at the booth, writing on it.
I guess I walk over to him and I ask, let's see, what his job is.
Well, I'm just the guy who makes sure that all of the supplies gets to who needs it.
Let's see here. Let's see. I ask him what kind of supplies.
Well, I kind of help all of the carpentry and the lumberjacks and a lot of the guilds kind of get together and make sure that they're cooperating.
Let's see. I ask him if they tend not to cooperate.
Well, the guild leader of some of them kind of don't get along, so I had to specifically ask for some of them to be far apart.
Let's see here. I ask. Let's see here. I kind of I'm getting close with the guy, and I sort of whisper. Let's see here. Well, what seems? Who's the troublemaker?
Well, old man Willikers at the Carpentry Guild doesn't agree with the old man that runs the Masonry Guild. So I have to put them on the opposite sides of the grounds.
Let's see here. I guess I nod sagely, and then I walk over to the Masonry Guild.
You notice that the Masonry Guild is right in the huge heart of the crowd. So, do you still want to try to fight your way through the crowd to get to the Masonry Guild's booth?
I say fuck it, and I go. Let's see. I go to the
Carpentry.
I go to the. I'm like looking at the list now here because it's conveniently in front of my face. I decide to go to the Arcane Circuitry booth.
Okay, right next to the one you were at a little while ago.
Yeah, so taking a very roundabout way to...
instead of just going from booth to booth like a normal person.
Yeah.
You're flailing around daftly.
I'm getting exercise, okay?
Okay, well, you're fighting through the crowd a little bit. It's getting quite crowded, and you see a lot of the kids are eating all sorts of confectionery desserts and deep-fried pastries and deep-fried things on sticks, and some of them have like a flossy, fluffy, sweet confectionery thing. You're not quite sure what it is.
You've never... that I personally am familiar with.
You're not quite sure what it is as a character, but...
Yeah. You probably have some idea in outside world.
In real life, what it is.
Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of crowded.
You were making your way to which one? Arcane Circuitry?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you make your way there and see that there's a huge lineup for their demo. They've got a very similar thing, except their circuit board seems to do a lot more movement, and the pegs look a little bit more detailed, and it seems to do more motions and stuff.
Okay, I decide to wait in line, and I guess I strike up a conversation with the person in front of me.
You try to talk to the guy in front of you. He's a bit of a taller bloke, but he doesn't seem like he really wants to talk, and he just kind of and grunts you off and goes back to waiting in line.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I decided to talk to him anyway because I had nothing else to do. So I just kind of talk about how it's really nice weather recently, and that I thought it was really. Let's see, the sword fighting was really cool, and I just kind of drone on.
Well, you're talking, and he keeps just kind of trying to ignore you best you can.
Mm-hmm. I guess this goes on for a while we're waiting in line.
Yeah. The line doesn't seem to be moving at all, and you're waiting there for quite a while, and you're starting to get kind of hungry.
Alright, I guess I say goodbye to the man, and let's see, that I hope to meet him again sometime. And
He doesn't even make eye contact, and he continues trying his best to ignore you.
Yeah, I go. I guess I go. I look at I go to number 9 on
the food and drink
list, because that happens to be where the food is.
Yeah. Okay, so you walk all the way back to the booth you were just beside a little while ago. You do notice that there's a bit of a line up now, but last time you were here, there probably wasn't much of a line. So again, you think, golly gee, I'm doing this in the most stupid manner possible. But oh well, I'm hungry now. So you make your way all the way back through there. You fight through the crowd, and you get to the front of the line.
Mm-hmm. Right,
so the man says, "Oh, what'll it be?"
Alright, I look at the menu.
Okay, so next to you, there's some planks of wood with crudely drawn pictures and some writing next to them. You're looking down the menu, and you think that cotton candy sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. You're not quite sure if you've ever had it, but it sounds like it's something that you might want. You're a fan of sweet foods. Are you actually? Are you a fan of sweet foods?
Am I a fan of sweet foods? I am, yes. Very much so.
Yes. As well as they have a variety of hot dogs and sausages.
Okay.
Do you like hot dogs and sausages?
Let's see here. Not as much as sweets, but I'll eat a sausage occasionally.
You are feeling like you want something a bit more dense than just candy.
Yeah. Let's see here. I guess I look for like a dense dessert, probably like a cake or something.
Okay. Well, you're looking through it and you see one that's it's like a deep fried battered apple. You recognize it as an apple pie like dessert, but deep fried. It's called the apple. Because I can't think of a name.
An apple cranberry.
Yes, apple cranberry.
Let's see. I ask for an apple cranberry, and I pull out the money that it says on the menu and give it to him.
Oh, the man looks at you and says, "Oh, nah, for you. You helped me unload this morning. I'll just give you free on the house." And he also throws in a drink.
I give him the warmest smile possible. And then
he smiles back at you and hands you your drink and your deep-fried pastry.
I grab him, and then I walk in the direction of the first booth that looks like it doesn't seem completely crowded.
Okay.
While I'm eating and drinking and whatnot.
The jewelry and the totem making seem pretty dead.
I go to the jewelry one.
You go to the jewelry booth and you see that they've got all sorts of like clay and stuff there, and some small heat runes of melting wax and some molds that you can pour into and make little trinkets.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Am I like the only one at this booth, or is there like a couple other people?
Well, there's one other person who's just kind of hanging out.
He's not actually even like making any jewelry. He's just kind of. Like,
he's playing with some of the clay. He's making something, but the instructor on the other side is completely free at the time.
I peer over his shoulder, and just let's see, sneakily, to see what he's making.
He gladly kind of turns a little bit and lets you watch what he's making. Because you're not very stealthy with your giant pastry.
I'm just too big, I guess.
In your glass bottle of drink that you haven't opened yet.
Oh, it's a glass bottle. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, I guess while I'm watching, I pop it open and kind of sit there like I'm at a movie theater, I guess.
Well, you've got your glass bottle in your left hand, and you just kind of bite the cap and flick it off with your teeth, as you've done before.
Yeah.
You seem to be quite familiar with this drink. You recognize it as one of your favorites. It's a common soda that is imported into the area. Being a slightly richer kid, you buy it on a regular basis. Because the store your parents run out of your house has it in stock constantly.
So, what is this person
the only
making?
place in town to get it.
What is this person making?
So you look over at him, and he's rolling out the clay, and he's got it already kind of rolled out in front of him, and he seems to be carving in a two-dimensional cast of some sort. You recognize it as a pendant, and he's got a variety of little cut stones next to him.
Okay.
They're semi-precious stones. You recognize them as like rubies and sapphires and stuff. This booth is obviously well-to-do if they can just hand out sapphires to all the kids.
Let's see here. Is it obvious whether it's like the trinket he's making is a certain motif or anything like that, or is it just pretty much just a generic brooch?
He seems to be making a pendant for a necklace.
Okay.
It's kind of it's a hexagon.
Okay.
With a space for the gem kind of carved out in the front that he's going to smush into and then pour it over. He seems to almost be done, and it's got like this intricately carved little webbing almost. It looks kind of like a spider web holding up the little gem.
Alright, so I guess, let's see. I ask him if he does this a lot, if it's a him.
The kid smiles up at you, and he seems to be about your age, and he's like, yeah, I used to play with a lot of clay back when I lived, and he mentions that he comes from the fishing tribe to the south.
Okay. I guess I briefly mentioned that I've done a little bit of pottery, but I've always wanted to get a little bit more into jewelry.
And
yeah.
He says, yeah, my mom did a lot of castings for the local blacksmith, and we ships them up to the north tribes so they can cast fine jewelry in them. So he's made these little casts and stuff before, so he clearly knows what he's doing.
And let's see. I guess I ask him if he'd help me make one.
He says, sure thing, just grab a chunk of clay. And the lady behind the desk just gladly hands you this massive wad of clay.
Okay. I get the massive wad of clay. Alright, I guess... So I guess maybe now I would describe what I'm trying to make then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you do still have, she places it in front of you because you still have your pastry and your pop in hand.
Yes, I guess I probably put them down, I guess. On the
Well, you put the soda down, but I'm assuming you just kind of quickly finish your pastry because you were almost done.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, so yum, 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 yum. You finish the pastry and set the little stick next to your pop that you take a swig of.
So I guess what I try and do is I try and make something that looks like an abacus with a sword in front of it.
An abacus with a sword in front of it.
But it's going to be kind of like an amulet sort of thing. It's not huge. It's going to be rather small.
You take the carving tools in hand and you start kind of carving out a rectangular base and curving the front of it and putting a little screen and some buttons next to it. And you carve the whole abacus out first. And then you kind of add a sword crossing in front of it. kind of carved in deeper than the other thing. And the lady behind the desk says, "Oh, that's a pretty good job you're doing there."
Thank you.
And
I guess I ask her if she has any suggestions.
she looks at it and she just states, "Do you want to put a gem in there for the screen?" And she picks up this little light blue, I think it's a topaz or something. You're not quite sure exactly what gem it is. She hands it to you, and it's just a little bigger than the area you'd carved out for the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You notice if you place it in there, the sword would still be cast in front of it.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a little too big.
It's just a little big, but you can smush it. You can carve it out and smush it a little bit more to make the gem fit.
Let's see here. I guess I ask her. I guess I point out that it's a little bit too big, and I ask her if we could cut it to be smaller.
She says, "No, sorry, we don't have all the cutting tools with us today."
Mm-hmm. Okay,
No,
I guess I try
I'm
and
afraid
make
that's
do
the
with.
best gem we've got.
I guess I make do with what I have and just do the best job I can at making it look good.
Okay. Being quite familiar with clay and clay working, you quickly carve out the screen to just be slightly bigger, and you carve the abacus, so the whole thing's just a little bit bigger, so it's more to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And the sword quickly comes into shape, and you do quite a well job.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, you notice that they're pouring something into the mold that your newly acquired friend has carved.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to look up from your artwork and admire his pour?
I will admire his pour with gusto, I guess.
Okay. Well, you look over to see that they're pouring some sort of warm, kind of silvery colored liquid into it.
I
And-
ask him if it's silver.
The woman smiles and says, "Nah, it's merely a 2-part resin to resemble silver. It heats up quite quickly, and it cools quite quickly to be quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's substantially cheaper than silver and
Let's
easier
see.
to work with."
I thought occurs. What is Arvin currency made out of? I guess it depends on what coin it actually is.
Yeah, the Arthen currency is made in the capital,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got 3 coins: the 1, the half, and the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them have stamped on them a different symbol.
Yeah. Are they made out of a pure metal?
Yeah, for the most part. The 1 is made out of gold, the second is made out of silver, and the third is made out of copper.
Okay. I guess I'll admire the pouring kind of. Let's see. I guess wait until like the pouring is no longer being used, and then I like bring out some gold coins from my pocket, and I ask, "Can we use these for mine?"
She looks down at you and says, "Sorry, we're not allowed to use any material from out of the booth."
Let's see. I try and use the fact that I'm son of the organizer to get her to make an exception.
So you try to persuade her a little bit.
Yeah.
And she looks down at
Please,
you
I'm
and
the son of the so and so.
kind of looks slightly annoyed and says, "Rules are rules, no matter what your standing is." And she kind of looks almost disappointed at the fact you even brought it up.
I kind of let my head drop a little bit, and I guess I make do with the materials that she's allowing me to use.
The resin.
Yeah.
But she looks at you because she notices she's kind of hurt your feelings a little bit and says, "But you can pick your color." And she hands you a couple of little samples.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I take a look.
Looking
at
at
the
them,
samples.
they feel kind of like metal, but they're a little lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not quite as cold as metal should be.
Mm-hmm.
She hands you 3. One's the silver color that you notice he used. One looks a lot like gold. And then the last one is kind of a shimmery blue.
Shimmery blue. Okay.
Yeah, it's a solid color, but it's kind of a blue.
What color was the abacus?
Um,
I can't remember now.
they come in kind of a silvery color.
Okay. Let's see. I think I will actually use the silver material. But I think before I do that, I'm going to try and put a rune in my very small trinket.
Okay. Any specific
Let's see.
attempt? Like, what do you want it to do?
Okay, what do I want it to do? I want it to, let's see here. Is there a rune for, let's see, making me convince better?
Persuasion?
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of a bit cheaty. I don't know.
Because you noticed you're not very good at persuading.
Yeah.
You think about it a little bit, and you're staring down at it, and she's starting to melt the silver color for you.
Mm-hmm.
Puts a lot of the little pellets in there with a clear liquid she pours in too, from a glass vial, like a jug, I suppose. And she's heating it up on a little hot plate of sorts. It's like a runic hot plate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm still thinking about it?
Yeah, you're thinking about it, and you don't know any rune to do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here.
But you could make an attempt at making one up.
Okay.
So you could draw like a speech bubble or come up with a pattern that would represent a persuasion.
I'd like to make a rune of, let's see here. What would it be? I'm trying to think. What would represent a? Let's see here. Like the peasantry or someone of low class.
I have no idea. You've got to come up with a symbol.
I got to come up with one. All right.
You've got to come up with one. It's part of the process.
It's going to be a farmer's crook with a crown above it and a line dividing the two.
A crook?
A farmer's crook, like to herd sheep.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, let's see here. Let's do some Googling then. Farmer's crook.
Let's take a break from this and Google.
Yes. And you can join us, imaginary audience. I know you love this. But it is basically so that you can kind of, I guess, grab the sheep's head with the stick and kind of move it around.
Just like, okay, I Googled it too. It looks just kind of like a cane.
It does look like a cane, yeah.
Yes. It's just a cane with like a heavy corner on it.
But the idea is that it's symbolizing like, I am above you sort of thing, so you should listen to me.
Okay. So, you carve this into the mold a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you take the finest tool and you carve this in super small, and it looks quite stylized, and you kind of draw a circle around it. Mm-hmm. And it flashes a little bit of light from it and then quickly fades. So you're not sure if it's taken effect.
Okay.
The lady asks, "Are you ready to pour?"
I'm ready to pour.
Okay. So she says, "Stand back a little bit."
Mm-hmm.
She ushers you to take a step back as she starts to pour the resin in.
Mm-hmm.
She quickly fills the little container, the little mold with it, and uses a tool to kind of scrape it flat.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, and then after that, she just kind of puts her hand on top of it, and you see that there's a slight glowing from the palm of her hand, and it solidifies almost instantaneously.
Mm. I guess I asked her about that. Like, is that supposed to happen?
Yeah, it's merely the way we get these things to work a little quicker.
I kind of look a little bit impressed.
If you signed up for jewelry making, it would be one of the first things you learn.
I nod.
So she's like, "Okay, it's all done. You can remove it from the mold now." She gestures back at it, and you can pick up the tools and start kind of scraping it out.
All right, I do so. Let's see how this thing turned out.
Okay. You start scraping at it a little bit and pulling up on the trinket.
Mm-hmm.
And you quickly get it out of the clay, and she kind of uses a wide scraper to pick up the clay, and she takes it back behind the booth and starts kind of remushing it together and making it back into just normal clay.
Mm-hmm.
And she just quickly turns back to you and says, "Wash it off in the barrel next to the booth." You turn your head to see that there's a large barrel of kind of murky-looking water.
Let's see here.
Probably just because it's got particulate of clay in it.
Okay. I guess I walk over to the barrel, and let's see here. I guess, yeah, okay, I wash it off in the barrel.
Okay. So you quickly wash it off, and you see that the mold has casted it quite well. The gem is held in there.
Mm-hmm.
The sword goes over in front of it.
And the mark on the back is still good.
You look at it, and the symbol you made seems to have smudged and didn't take effect.
Okay. So, I guess I shrug and I put let's see, I put on the necklace anyway.
Well,
Oh, wait,
it's
no, I
not
need to
on
attach it
a
to
chain,
something,
it's just a
don't I?
trinket.
Yeah, I need to put it onto a string or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
so
see on the corner of the booth, there's a bunch of fine chains. They're just like little necklace chains.
Okay.
Each
I
on
grab
like
it.
a hook.
I grab a black-looking one.
Okay. You find one of the darkest ones, and it's just a simple metal chain.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So let's see. I guess I thank her, and then I see if the other person is still there, and I ask for his name.
He is still there, and you see that his is already on a chain, and he was just watching yours pour and see if that was successful.
Mm-hmm.
So you turn to him and ask him his name, I suppose.
Thank you for helping me. What's your name?
Hold on, I think I actually have a file of acceptable names somewhere.
Okay.
Because I don't remember.
Yes.
I forget these things.
It happens. Now would be an excellent time for a commercial break.
Yes, it would.
See you in a moment, imaginary audience. Woo. Hello, introducing Unforgettable Berry Blast.
It's unforgettable until you do.
Let's talk with some satisfied customers. Sir, what did you think of Unforgettable Berry Blast?
What now?
Unforgettable Berry Blast. You're holding it in your hand right now.
What's a hand?
Well, see, like, you have, like, several fingers attached to it, and they grasp things, usually.
There's something on my arm.
Back to you, Brett. Hello, once again, imaginary audience. This is the end of the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the text adventure, the first episode of part 2. We hope you've enjoyed listening to it. Wilson can't be a part of this outro because he and I are having connection problems. See you in the next part, I hope. Goodbye.